Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is the Our Turf Football Podcast. I am Dana OG. There are three of us today. This is our dear darling Sonia's birthday week, and we're letting her enjoy it with her family. We hope she is having a great time. So happy birthday to Sonia. With me, of course, Cleveland Kate. And although not in Cleveland, we'll talk about that in just a second. And we have Lisa Johnson down in Florida, right where she belongs, right where she belongs. All right, everybody.
Raise your hand Lisa? If your team won.
Mine almost won. Mine at least went to overtime, Lisa.
Yeah, man. Mine made it nowhere near overtime. Mine never even made it to the scoreboard. So.
Ouch. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a goose egg. That was a big fat no.
Man, so
I can't believe I'm the only one whose team won this week.
Listen, mine was so close. If my offense had fallen apart. Here's the thing. Lisa, I was going to actually bring this up right before we as our intro to start. You and I have always said, Lisa and I have done a podcast together forever. Kate's come on and off 10 years now, ladies. And there's one thing that we have all been very consistent on. You do not know who a team truly is until week 4 to 5.
Exactly.
It just doesn't work any other way, right? That you don't really know who a team is, especially if you have, if you have new offensive coordinators, new quarterbacks, all that's got to shake out. But even that, got to shake out the rust. There was a whole argument on Twitter the other day about how because of the lack of practices now we're not talking 2-a-days as we were talking about last time, but just going ahead and having the time on the field together, it changes things. And I think that's why we've seen some questionable starts for some people, I guess we could say. I'm looking at you, Aaron Rodgers, although he looked better last night. I said, holy cow, that first week was just crazy. But I think that it has just been an interesting but kind of normal start to a season. We're going to get to the end of the season and we're going to look at it and be like, oh, do you remember in week 2 when that happened?
Right.
And we're just not even going to think much about it. So we are glad that you are all. Go ahead.
We're talking about that a lot in Cleveland because one of the things that we're noticing this year is that we have a whole squad coming back. So a lot of our starters didn't see the field in preseason, which is new for us. We usually have quarterbacks competing for a job and all that kind of thing. And so that's where the fans they've shifted from, that conversations we used to have about there's no more 2-a-days. Then we went to COVID the last couple of years and all the stuff we missed with COVID. And now there were only 3 preseason games and the starters didn't play. And so you're right. Weeks 1 to 4, we are shaking the rust off. And fans in typical fan fashion are completely overreacting to. I had people saying the Browns must win week 2 or the whole season's over.
Right.
It's week 2.
Yeah, it's week 2. And we're going to talk about that later in the show. We are going to talk about fan reactions, fan overreactions, and fan extreme overreactions. Because there was one town that really pissed me off this week. I'm not even going to lie.
Let's hear
this. As you know, I was real mad for a minute. Okay. Right. And it had nothing to do with Seattle. Let me just put it that way. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with kind of something that we'll get into the habit of doing really regularly at the beginning of each show. We're going to go through some of these injuries that have happened. I said by the third quarter, I think it was about the third quarter of the first games, that I think we all need to stop cheering for a win and cheering that you don't lose a quarterback, because holy crap, this weekend was nasty. Lisa, go ahead and tell us all about these injuries.
Well, let's start off with the Indianapolis Colts with Carson Wentz. I mean, not only did this guy have one bad ankle, he got 2 bad ankles during the game. Right. And that was crazy. The good news for Colts fans is he tried to play through that one ankle, but then got rolled up by Aaron Donald, and that pretty much was it. Because, playing on one bad ankle is bad enough, but 2, it's just not going to happen. The good news with that is, Reich said, if he can go, he'll start. So I'm assuming that means that if you can get one ankle healthy, that you're going to see him. I mean, I was still trying to kind of figure that out. I mean, he was in a boot all day today, being carted around the thing, and in my mind, I'm like, wow, these these coaches are just, if he's healthy, he'll start. So I'm thinking, okay, well, he played on one bad ankle. So does that mean if one heals good, he's in there? So,
Right.
so that's something to keep an eye on for the rest of the week, because he's listed as, obviously questionable, but, they kind of expect him, if he's healthy, he's going to go. The second one is Andy Dalton of the Bears went out with a knee injury. This was weird because Matt Nagy did some weird things in this press conference. And it kind of just brings me to, at the end of this, when I get done, I want to kind of chat with you guys about that a little bit. But I'll go ahead and continue here, where same thing. If he's healthy, he'll start. It wasn't an ACL. MRI came negative, so it looks like he's just got a bruised knee. And that's pretty much all the details you got. So expect him to start.
Wait, Lisa, didn't they call it a bone bruise?
Bone bruise, knee bruise.
To me, that sounds really a lot worse than just bruise. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Bone bruise is going to be a bitch. So
you can say bitch. You can say bitch on our show. Because it's our show. You can say whatever you want.
She's gonna say it a lot now.
The one that was really good was Tyrod. You got to feel bad for Tyrod Taylor. Now he did go on the IR. He did go on IR today, which means he'll miss a minimum of 3 games. So Texans fans, just to clarify, Deshaun Watson will be inactive. He is not going to be active. So they made that pretty clear that you won't see this guy this year unless they can get a trade by the deadline, which, according to all the reports, isn't going to happen. So you're going to have Davis Mills, the rookie out of Stanford, for the next 3 games.
Cam Newton get a job yet?
No,
not yet.
I'm just asking.
Not yet. Not yet.
I'm just saying.
And then of course, you have the Tua Tagovailoa injury that went
You're
down
so good
ribs.
at that, Lisa.
You're
so good at that last name
now, because they spell it out, because he even said it's not Tagovailoa, it's Tagovailoa. So a rib injury for him. Flores today said on the presser, if he's healthy, he'll go. So he's day-to-day, listed as day-to-day. So we'll see how he practices, throws the ball. The type of injury that he has, throwing the ball is going to be a must. So, to kind of see if he'll try to play through the pain with this offensive line right now, I would probably say it's probably safe to assume he might start. I don't know if he'll finish.
Right.
He might start. Some non-quarterback injuries. One, Jarvis Landry went on IR today.
I know.
Same thing, this IR this time. And it's so weird. It's taken me a while, because when I hear IR, I'm thinking season. Because isn't that what we're kind of used to when they go on IR, they're done? Well, now with this COVID thing, it's the IR, minimum 3 games. Browns are optimistic they'll get Odell Beckham back this week. So, hopefully that'll happen. Another one is TJ Watt.
Wait, stop. Before we go on to TJ. Hey, what the hell's wrong with OBJ? Why is he not playing?
That's the $10 million question in Cleveland. Because
I thought I was
spent the entire offseason posting clips of practice, and he was having practices with Jarvis, and he was hanging out with Baker, and he looked good, and he was doing his cuts, and he was running his routes. And even in the training camp time that we saw him, and in a little bit of preseason, he looked fine. And then he didn't play week 1, and then he didn't play week 2, which was a shocker. And now the question is, will he actually play week 3? Would they have played him if Landry was in? Because now we're running out of wide receivers. We had all these wide receivers we didn't know what to do with 3 weeks ago, and now we're in trouble. Physically, he looks fine. He's walking fine. And the tape I've seen of him has him making those cuts on that ankle and on that leg with no problem at all. So I'm not sure why they were being so hesitant to get him in. It's the same offense from last year with very few changes. So it's not that, but it's a huge thing in Cleveland that people are wondering what's going on.
Okay. And then I want to throw in there too, because then he tweeted, which probably didn't help. He's like, whatever happens next is in God's hands. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean you're being traded? Does that mean that what does that mean? I mean, I'm like,
OBJ's a
drama.
I mean, he's just a weird
He's always a drama queen, right? He's been
I want to tell him to just shut up and play, but this is America, and he can tweet and do all that kind of stuff that he wants. But we had, it's just, we'll see. I'll wait until the game, kickoff on Sunday to see if he's going to start or not.
Right. Crazy. Our friend John says, Odell Broken Jr. It's kind of true.
Come on,
kind
now.
of true.
John's low tonight too. Watching some comments there from John. John's going low balling tonight.
I know. John is kicking it a little low today. Kind of like it. Sorry. Anyway,
and
okay.
Mom always said,
so
just because it isn't nice doesn't mean it isn't funny. So thank you, John.
That's true. Well, another thing, Pittsburgh added TJ Watt with a groin, which we knew. Now, here's the thing with him. As far as everybody's concerned, they are expecting him to play. So apparently the injury isn't as bad as they thought. Adding to the injury thing was Ben Roethlisberger came up with a left pectoral injury today. So of
course,
Tomlin was a little hesitant again. And since that's my last one, I'm gonna go into this a little bit. I don't know what's going on between the coaches and the media this year alone. They don't want to say anything. And it's like, okay, he's got that pectoral muscle can be another bitch of an injury because, throwing motion, moving around, he took 10 hits, they said, that game. So, he got beat up a little bit. So something to watch. And of course, they got, Rudolph Mason as the second string and Dwayne Haskins there. So Tomlin brought those up in there. So it's like they'll have a plan for if it doesn't work out. So, but going back to the Nagy thing.
Yeah, let's do. That's an
Nagy thing was very interesting because I think like for the first time, all the reporters were saying he sent a PR person back into the presser after I guess him and a reporter kind of went after it about some kind of scheme or something. And he's like, all he just kind of wanted to know is if he's going to start. And I don't understand the hesitation there. It's an easy question. It's like, well, if he's healthy, he'll start. And so I'm kind of confused on Nagy. I don't know if he's just pissy and doesn't want to say anything. It's just bizarre to me because it's like we're doing our own math in our heads. It's like, okay, he's got a bruised knee. Okay, we know those can hurt. They just
my Karate Kid reference. I got to see if Mr. Miyagi's available to stop by this week and work his magic on the knee.
Right. All right. Well, John did tell us
I think he's trying
to
avoid
Jeff Carulli to work on it. He told us. Sorry, John. Thanks. We appreciate that.
They want Justin Fields, and to his point, I think Nagy's trying to avoid that from being a confrontation. Are you putting Fields in because he's hurt, or is there a thing going on? And so he's like, if he's healthy, he'll play. So your assumption is supposed to be if he starts Fields, it's only because Dalton's not healthy.
Okay, Kate, you just said that beautifully. Can you not stand up there and say that? And if I'm a Bears fan, I'm like, okay, I'm taking that. You can't say that. You have to.
I think they're being very hesitant about a lot of things. They always do coach speak. Belichick was the best at it, but they always do that coach speak thing. Yeah. But my kind of gut feeling about this season is because of COVID, there's going to be very little medical information coming out because they don't want to have to tell you more about COVID situations or who might be infected and those kind of things. So they're going to minimize the information they give you on anything that's health related. I know there are protocols with COVID and there are things they have to report to the league, but maybe it's a HIPAA thing because a lot of people knew a lot of things about a lot of players last year and there were some complaints about that. I don't know. I just feel like all the teams are being very minimalistic in what they're saying about injuries this year.
So here's my question on that. And it's bitchy, I'm just going to say. But we found out how many months after the Super Bowl that Tom Brady played hurt. He never once showed up on an injury report. Is this the new keep your mouth shut and we'll just work with it, but we can't tell anybody sort of a situation? Are they starting to get away with that again like they used to all those years ago? And that's not Nagy. I think Nagy's just kind of a moron. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't think he's PR savvy. I don't think he's media savvy. I think that he's just one of those football coaches that just wants to stare at tape and players all day. He don't deal with your bullshit. You know what I mean? And that's totally fine.
Went to the Marshawn Lynch school of how to do a press conference.
Right. Exactly. But, so I think that's what that is. And he knows he's got to start Justin Fields and he might know he's not ready and it's going to be a disaster and it's going to be his job. And so I kind of feel for him there, but the rest of this with the weird, sort of injured, not questions. Injured, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. They're going to keep their mouth shut because maybe if nobody finds out. Plus I will never, ever forget, that when it was explained to me that once a team, your opponent knows that you have something wrong, they go after that.
Oh, absolutely.
I knew that, but I didn't realize it was common practice. And so I think that's probably another part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes back. That goes back to 70s and 80s football.
I was going to say we're going to go.
That goes way back. I mean, if you got, especially like this weekend, let's use Tua as an example. He's got rib injuries. Where do you think they're going to hit him and get him on the ground as much as they can? I mean, let's be honest. They want to get this. You want, you hate to say it, this is barbaric, but you want to get this. You want to cut the head of the snake off. You want to, for sure. You don't want to.
Well, so. And in a way, I look at it sort of like an insider trading thing when you consider fantasy football and Vegas odds and stuff. And if you're going to play, if that injury is not going to keep you out of the game, you don't want Vegas or fantasy football players or any of those people making decisions or setting odds or placing bets because Tom Brady's got a little tweak something. If it's not going to affect whether or not they play, I think they're going to keep all of that stuff to themselves.
Yeah, close to the vest. It's going to be like this all year, I think.
Week 2 sucks that they started out.
And there's a lot of them. But, like I said, it wasn't anything serious. A lot of them are day-to-day or, expect to play in a couple weeks. So at least we, kind of skirted over there. But there was a ton of them. So.
Yeah, it was a weird day. They were just falling like crazy. All right, let's move on. So our next topic, we were, Kate, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, but it's interesting. I know you wanted to bring up some surprise teams that, well, again, we've already stated that we don't know who a team is until game 4 or 5. But there's some weird 0-2s. There's some weird stuff going on. Why don't we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of expected 0-2s, the Jaguars, the Falcons, nothing surprising there. But the two of the teams that really surprised me, we'll start with the Indianapolis Colts. And I know Wentz got hurt, but he was okay for the Seattle game, and they just didn't look good. And then even against the Rams with him injured in that, they still only lost that game by 3. And then you look at the Minnesota Vikings, who there were an awful lot of people who thought maybe they wouldn't win the division, but they would have a shot at like a playoff spot or something, that they were going to make that next step. They lost to the Bengals in overtime in week 1, and then to the Cardinals by 1 point this week. And I know those aren't like you got rickrolled and you got killed. Those were just bad breaks. But in my experience, when you're a team that catches those bad breaks, you tend to catch those bad breaks for the whole season. It tends to be like this thing where it's these bad, unlucky things keep happening to you. And I just thought both of these teams, and I'm starting to hate this phrase, look better on paper than their record is. And you're right. We're only 2 weeks in, and maybe by the end of the year, they'll both have, 9 or 10 wins, and it won't be a big thing, and we won't even remember that they went 0-2. But I was just surprised that both of them had managed to get to this point in the season.
The thing of it is I saw on Twitter, probably Monday, the odds of going 0-2 and still making the playoffs. Man, they cut you at the knees when that happens, just because you've already lost some ground. And to be honest with you, momentum is a real thing in football, which we all know. And you start out that slow, like 1-1 isn't as big of a deal. Obviously 2-0 is fantastic, but you don't have any wins. And you're right. The Colts, they were a playoff team last year. I wasn't sure they were going to be as good this year, but they still should be playing well. There were a lot of people that had them picked to beat Seattle, picked to win in week 2, and it just isn't happening. And so I think what's interesting is, do we start to look at players? Do we look at injuries? Because I know that first week the Colts had quite a few people injured, quite a few people on their line injured, but and T.Y. Hilton didn't play. I mean, there was some issues there, but it makes you wonder, are these teams having a hard time finishing? And if that is the case, who does that fall on? Coaching. And that's, the Lions dude's going at the knees. He's going after people at the knees. Well, the first week it sure as heck looked like he was going after San Francisco's knees, but then last night, what happened? I don't even know. But I think that it's but I find it interesting that it's those two teams. I am going to get burned by our friend John, who talks with us in the chat.
Well, he needs it.
I do not like Kirk Cousins. I don't trust Kirk Cousins, and I don't trust him to take a team on his back. And so then you have to look at the rest of that team. Last week, they had a ton of people gone. They had that whole list of injuries. And which one, John, he'll have to tell me in the comments, but I think it was Emerson Griffin. One of them got to a car accident or something on the way to practice, and that's why he couldn't play. It was very interesting. Geez. I think on the flip side, we also need to look at those surprise 0-2 teams and look at the very surprising 2-0 teams, because there are a couple. I see you, Vegas Raiders. I had them winning two games all season. I'm just shocked.
I see you, Carolina Panthers.
I know. Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Like I told you.
Well, I think with the Broncos, though, I think we all kind of were like, we were on the fence with that. Remember, I think all of us were just like, I think they're going to be okay. They're gonna win some games, and I think we pegged that right. I think we were okay there.
The Broncos before,
but the Raiders kind of.
We all got on the Broncos bus, and I told y'all in the Pick'em show via an email to Sonia.
It's only two. It's only week
y'all
2.
Laughed,
Calm down.
It's only 2 weeks. It's the same only week 2 that we said about the 0-2 teams, but the Carolina one is the one that just shocks me. I was looking at the standings, and I'm like,
well, they have a weak schedule. Those first 2 games, come on.
Quit it, Lisa. It's impressive. But I will say this. I think that all of us over the last season or 2 have all said Sam Darnold is better than the team he is on.
Yes, and I agree with that. I just want to see them play a team. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not the Jets. Come on. Right. And then I want to see them against a real team. I want not a real team, but a team that's got a good quarterback and defense. And
they're all professional football teams, Lisa.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yes, it was Everson Griffin John.
Let's go matchup. I'll use the word matchup.
Okay. That's better.
I want to see a matchup to a team.
I'm just impressed. I'm impressed, but at the same time, we have to be careful, right? Has anyone written off the Chiefs because they lost this last week to the Ravens? No. No one's writing the Chiefs off. Are you kidding? No one's written Seattle off. No one's written Green Bay off because they're 1-1, So it is just week 2. But I do find it interesting. Yes, there are definitely some surprises at 0-2. There's definitely some surprises at 2-0. And I think it's gonna be fun to watch the next couple of weeks. Go ahead, Kate.
Well, what you could see with those 2-0 teams is that self-confidence that propels them through some of the harder matchups they have coming up. And with the 0-2 teams, you could see that quicksand effect where they can't get out of their own way. So this is where the head coaches of these teams that we're talking about are going to play a big part in the next couple of days at practice and the next couple of weeks, getting them out of their heads and back to next man up, next game up, next play, and just slowing things down. And we'll see which one of these coaches can keep his team on track.
So true. Lisa, you need to be prepared for Carolina to be 3-0 because they play Houston next week. They play
they play the Texans. I mean, as I said, they got great rewards coming up with the matchups they're facing. So and the first 3 are, come on, seriously. Now we're going to the Texans. They're going against another rookie quarterback. So it'll be back-to-back 2 rookie quarterbacks. I wish I had that schedule right now, honestly.
I can't wait to see Lisa's Twitter feed later when the Panthers fans come out her full force. It's going to be pretty fun.
I want to see it on
Can't
Sunday
be worse
when
than
the Colts play
fans,
Miami to see if the Colts go 0-3 or if the Colts get on the winning streak because they got her Dolphins this week. They started off with 2 tough teams. Dude, so we'll see what this week does for the Colts.
That is true. Yep. It is. Yeah, it is amazing. And I'm real proud of Sam Darnold. You got to get out of that situation.
I liked Sam too. I always thought Sam's problem was Gase. I honestly did. And like I said, he's still making great throws. Like I said, they're professional teams. That Jets defense isn't a rookie team. They can get after him. And but like I said, I'm impressed with him. But I just want to see a better matchup.
Right. And that's fair, Lisa. That's fair. We want to see them. It's these divisions that are really good or have really hard schedules. They beat the ever-loving crap out of each other, and that's when you get sometimes. I always say I don't like to say pretenders because there are no pretenders in this league. They're all professionals. But we look at that Steelers. They went 11-0 last year. They weren't an 11-0 team, and nothing against Steelers. They played well when they needed to, but most importantly, they beat teams they were supposed to beat. And I think when you have those little bit easier schedules, you should be kicking their ass. You should be getting because that's where you're at. So I think that's good. All right, talking about the Jets. Let's talk about that for a minute, shall we, people? So I got real mad.
Oh, the Jets game, you got mad. I didn't know that. All right,
those Jets fans started booing their team halfway through that game with a first-year head coach, a rookie quarterback, all trying to learn. And the Jets fans, I need some people to get in my mentions. I need people to explain to me who the hell does that? Who tries to kick a chair out from underneath the team before they've even had a second to get there? I mean, I was just livid, but the overreaction of that, it bled through a million teams, and it was all over Seattle. We might as well, once again, we're firing Pete and getting rid of Russ. We're doing all of those stupid fun things again. And then you look at, these other teams that, horrible, terrible things happened. And it's like, no, it didn't. You lost a football game, or you didn't even lose. You just didn't win really big. Like it was asinine to me. But I will tell you, I was so angry about the Jets. And that kid came up there. I mean, this is an All-American kid, right? And we were worried when he was drafted in New York. Yep. We were worried because he came from BYU. He's this little Midwestern kid,
blue collar kid,
who going to New York where they eat you alive. And sure as shit, they did. And he said in his presser, he goes, well, they should boo. Oh, you might have just won some fans back because that's what they like. God, New York, what the hell ever. But I felt really bad for Robert Saleh. He started with the bottom, right? Yeah. He came into a team that had fallen completely apart. I think that sorry, John. I had to share this for John. He says, what do you expect from Jets fans? They think East Rutherford is New York. It's true. That's hilarious. But
I just can't with John tonight.
I know. He's on. But here's the thing. I feel bad, and I know that we're not supposed to feel bad, right? They get paid a lot of money to put up with this. They do this, but it's your first home game, and they're booing you at halftime. I just think that is asinine. That is when I start to dislike football fans, certain football fans. They take this stuff too far, and there's a lot of them that do, and we've seen that a million times over the years. But if I'm going to ask you guys a question. If you had to look at this week, what do you think the biggest overreaction? Is it that Derek Carr is going to be our MVP at the end of the year? Or is it booing, a brand new rookie quarterback? What did you guys see this week that you thought was probably the biggest overreaction, either good or bad? And I didn't, for our listeners, I did not tell them I was going to ask them that. So give them a minute while they think about it.
Yeah, give me a second, because you just kind of threw a...
For me, I think it's just as bad. I think that it's way too early to call an MVP. And I think that it's, way too early to fire Urban Meyer. And he's apologizing, anyway, it was irritating to me. This weekend irritated me a lot. Just want to let you know.
There was a lot of irritation going on this weekend. And then when you go to the AFC East as a whole, you see Mac Jones having success with New England. And I think that's driving a lot of Dolphin fans, Jets fans. Bills are set with Josh. So I think you're seeing a lot of frustration, but you got to understand, Mac Jones is in a system where he has a good line that can protect him. He's got these pieces to the puzzle that are already there that is allowing him to have success. He's have his time to throw the ball. He has time to go through his progressions. Where you look at the Jets and the Dolphins offensive line, how can these two guys, Tua is on his 11th game of his whole life. He can't read defenses if he's on his ass, people. I mean, you need to learn. You need to put pieces in there. And I think the frustration with Jets fans is the same thing as you see the Patriots win this weekend with a rookie quarterback. So their mentality is like, well, where's our star rookie quarterback? That has shown, he threw 4 interceptions. Now understand, Peyton Manning's rookie career was full of interceptions. So it's going to happen. The kid has to learn. He also needs pieces to give himself some time to learn. And there's just no patience anymore. There's no patience anymore. It's really not
a one-man team.
There's just no patience.
Saleh has to build that team from the bottom up, literally the bottom up.
And he's learning too, right? He's the first-year head coach. He's going to make some mistakes. Trust me. Yeah. So it's I think it's very unfair to judge them. And like I said, Tua is the kind of same thing. Though Tua's situation in the AFC is a little bit different. you just want to see that one flash from him. And I think that's what fans, and like I said, he's got a lot of other red flags, up on there too. But I just think the Jets fans are frustrated and they want to win now, regardless.
It's not how it works.
Well,
I can't tell them that.
I saw quite a few Patriots fans who were like, "We're back. We're going to the Super Bowl after
exactly.
one." I'm like, "Shut
so
up."
you're reading stuff like that. Tell me you're not getting pissed off.
Fan reaction.
Tell me you're not getting pissed off.
And I don't know if this is fair or not. I was as frustrated as you are, Dana, with what went on with the Jets game.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, part of it is, and again, I don't know that this is fair, but what I want to say to Jets fans is, who are you? Your team has sucked for how many years? It's not like this was a playoff team last year and it's now being destroyed. You knew you were rebuilding. You had a top pick in the draft. You are smarter football fans than that, or at least I thought you were. At least I thought you understood that this was going to be a process. And they clearly showed that they are not the smart football fans that I thought they were. So I'm done giving them credit for that. I wish we had Connie on this week, who used to scout for the Jets, because I would love to know what she thought of that reaction, because she's probably seen that before. So maybe it's just a typical thing that we haven't noticed before. But that was the one that really made me angry. I just thought some of the teams, 49er fans who are 2-0, who think, who are all over Twitter, smack talking Patriots fans. Those are two of the bigger fan bases that are just more than happy to smack talk with whoever in their mentions on Twitter. And I'm like, I'll talk to you all week 4. We'll see if you're still as happy as you are today. Just slow your roll. I'll at least say this about my Browns fans. We're not doing the Super Bowl chant yet. We're 1-1.
No tattoos? No Super Bowl
tattoos yet. Our entire division is 1-1, which is nice, because that week I spent looking up at the Bengals was not a good week. So we're now all even. Season starts fresh. We're all even at 1-1. No overreactions from any of the AFC North teams. All of our fans are just keeping our heads down and staying out of trouble, at least for now.
Well, the other biggest overreactions I saw were, of course, the Chiefs fans. So I get sandwiched between Seahawks fans having a meltdown, Chiefs fans having a total meltdown.
Yeah, back-to-back losses this weekend. Back-to-back.
Patrick Mahomes had never lost in September. Never.
Wow. Really?
So they're like, oh, the sky is falling. Everyone is dying. It's like, no, that's not it, you guys. Relax. It's fine. Everyone is going to be fine. Yeah, I that is the one part of football fandom that really drives me the craziest is the overreactions. But then I get told I'm not a passionate fan because I don't have those overreactions. And I think, no, at one point I was in a bit of an argument with a couple of boys and I was like, here, and I say boys because they're friends of mine, but I said, guys, do you watch any other team? Do you watch any other football? Because there's a lot of fans that don't. Keep that in mind. They watch their team and their team only. Right. And so they don't realize that there's a lot of teams that look like they have big holes in them, just like this. There's a lot of teams that look like they're knocking the rust off. And so I think if people expanded that a little bit, and I know our weekends are short and you don't want to spend all day watching football like I do, but I think that would make a big difference. They maybe would understand it a little bit better. So, all right.
I was laughing at Kansas City fans just because the Ravens did to them what Kansas City did to us the week before.
So true.
I'm like, did you not watch you when your team did it to my Browns in week 1, y'all thought it was awesome. But then when the Ravens came back at you, it can change that fast. And that was, I think for them, it was just a whole new experience for them because Mahomes has never played like that before. And it brought them down to earth a little bit, which is always, it's a humbling experience. I survived 1-31. I can't get much more humbler when it comes to my football team.
And what a hell of a call. Does that call not just show Kansas City respect that you're not giving that ball to Patrick? I mean,
Absolutely.
So the Chiefs fans should almost kind of be happy because they forced that kind of a call to make. Right. Because honestly, they don't make that 4th down. The Chiefs are going to kick a field goal and most likely win. But what did they just that was a ballsy call. That's
I like that whole series because Harbaugh literally was running on the sidelines he was yelling at Lamar, what do you want to do? Do you want to go for it? Already had a conversation about it. The easiest way to beat the Chiefs is to not let Pat Mahomes touch the ball.
Exactly.
What do you want to do? And Lamar's like, we're doing this. And even if you don't make it, at least you've burned more clock and you've kept him away that much longer. And the fact that they made it was just you got to give them
But
credit.
any other team, Kate, they're kicking them. They're punting. Any other team besides the Chiefs, they're punting.
I think you're right, and I think it frustrates a lot of teams. Like, and I'll bring up my Browns again. We think we have a running game now, but there are times on like 4th and 1 that we don't go for it, and I'm like, wait, we have a running back. If you have a good offensive line and a good running back, you're supposed to go for those 4th and 1, 4th and 2.
Yep.
Clearly, Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson believe in their ability to get 1 or 2 yards when they have to, and they did. But there's maybe one other team in the league that would do it. Carolina might do it with McCaffrey, but nobody else has the guts to make that call. And I got to give them credit for it. And then if we're going to talk about weird calls, I don't know if you guys probably didn't get to see the Browns-Houston game. At one point in the 4th quarter, Houston had a 3 and 15, got a 13-yard play, 4th and 2. There was a defensive penalty, and their choice was to take the penalty and replay 3rd down because there were no yards attached. They could just replay 3rd down at 3rd and 15 or just decline it, and they declined it and kicked the ball. And we're all sitting here like, why would you not take 3rd over again? And the announcer said that he thought they were more afraid of making a mistake that could keep them from coming back, like maybe throwing an interception on that 3rd and 15, like they were lucky. They got 13 yards and nothing bad happened. Now you had Davis Mills in, and you had all kinds of weird stuff. What's that tell you about your team,
though? What message does that send to your team?
Head coach and that team.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is that shows, you need balls to play this game, in coaching, to coach this game. You have to have the guts. You have to have the, sorry about my language, but I'm just saying you have to have it in order to make those moments. But you also have to have trust. And when those moments don't happen, you realize that there's very little trust. It's like they're going to make a mistake. That's not going to change the fact that you're going to lose this game. So what does it matter? Try it. Use it as a damn practice. Lisa, honest to God, when you guys hadn't scored any points, I'm like, use it as a practice the rest of the time. Try crap you've never tried before just to see if it'll work. Who the hell cares? You're not going to win, right? And so I get that people can come back, and we've seen 16 points scored in 43 seconds. I understand how all that works. But when you're that far down and that's not going to happen, I think that's a mistake. Yeah, there was a lot of questionable calls. We should do a whole show on questionable calls.
We could.
That's really just, to me, like you said, it just sends a message that you don't believe in, your quarterback. That means you took advantage of Tyrod being out because you have a rookie, obviously, that's coming back onto the field, and it's probably going to be an easy, let's be honest, the kid's a rookie, but it still could have, anything can happen. You could have a breakdown in your secondary and,
anything can happen.
It was exactly the opposite of the Harbaugh call, right?
Yeah,
those are
crazy
two extremes of someone who absolutely believes in his team and trusts his players and is willing to put a game on the line because you're only up by 1 point, and you're going to go for it. And somebody who's not willing to take a chance on anything. And I'm
surprised they didn't talk about that call, and kind of because that's kind of an interesting call. So.
Guys, excuse me. So we've run a little bit over, but I still want to run through some of these week 3 scores, week 3 games, matchups that are coming up. We already talked about the Panthers and the Texans a little bit. The Panthers are just going to go 3-0. I mean, hello. That's just, the way it's going to stay. So, interesting. I think one of the better games this week is actually going to be the Chargers and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to be real pissed, and the Chargers are going to want to get one up. Now they are in Kansas City, and so obviously I think people are going to lean a little bit there. But I like this division. I cover this division, but this division is after 2 weeks a little more competitive than we thought it was going to be, and I find that makes the games even more fascinating to me. I'm really, really excited to watch that one. Do I think the Chiefs will still win it? Probably, but I'm excited to see what happens there.
Did they play their first defense. 3 games at home?
The Chiefs,
right? They've been home for
they were on.
weeks.
They were on the road. They were in the Ravens.
They were in Baltimore last night. Oh, okay. Sunday night.
Yeah, they were in Baltimore last night.
Yeah.
Chiefs defense like they were in Chiefs Stadium with the noise.
Chiefs defense is questionable lately. I mean, they've given up a lot of points. So when you look at Justin Herbert coming in, and that whole matchup. And I honestly think the Chiefs have matched up a lot better with the Chargers than they did with the Ravens, just because of Lamar. You have a dual-edged sword with Lamar. He's either going to take off. He's going to, Herbert, not so much. He'll take off, but he's definitely not as athletic as Lamar.
He's not a running. Yeah.
So I think the matchup is going to favor the Chiefs a little bit more than it did against the Ravens. So, and then, like I said, I think they're going to be up. You know how that is. Teams lose. They want to make it up. And, you saw it on Twitter. A lot of even the players came out, they were pissed off that they lost. And I think the one Chief plays, that's a long ride home on a plane.
They've forgotten what that's like.
Yeah.
They've forgotten. Other than the Super Bowl. I mean, that's a little different. So.
You do a lot of thinking, he said. So
let me just, as I'm scrolling down, because we actually do have a question from one of our viewers.
Falcons Giants.
So, the Falcons Giants.
Somebody's going to win.
Someone's going to win. They're going to tie that shit. No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Oh, no.
Don't jinx them, Dana.
So we have the Cardinals against the Jaguars. Someone's going 3-0 in that one. We have the Jets and the Broncos. They might be going 3-0 in that one. The Raiders, Dolphins. No offense, Lisa. The Raiders have a good chance because you're in Vegas.
Yes.
That's going to spin it a little bit.
You may not have Tua.
Wait a minute. Wait. Stop the show. No, John. No. Lamar was freaking awesome. Dude, you're wrong.
Put it on the screen.
You are wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not letting that one go. No way. No. He can't throw deep. Were you watching the same game I was?
Okay, can you two fight about this on your own time?
Okay.
I'm just going to keep going.
Come on.
But here's the game of the week for me. The Bucs and the Rams.
Ooh, good game.
I can't wait to watch that game. Can't wait to watch that game. And the Packers and the Niners. Ooh, this could be real fun. This could be the equalizer this week.
Yes.
NFC West. This could be
the week. Be aware of that. There are some talk about Richard Sherman signing with the Bucs down here.
Shut it, Lisa. We don't say those words
I'm not kidding you. There's a good chance that you're going to see Richard
Where's the mute button? Mute her, Dana.
It's not going to happen.
Don't let her put that out into the atmosphere.
Watch it.
I'm going to punch you in the neck next time.
Everybody loves Bruce. Bruce can bring them.
No, Shermie's going to come home or go nowhere. That's just it. All right, I'm going to put our question we have from Katie Bourne. Thank you, Katie, so much. And by the way, she just put on chat, get the Bucs and Sherman out of your mouth, Lisa.
She's a Seahawk homer. She's got to be a Seahawk homer, right? Am I right? Katie, you a Seahawk fan?
Love her.
Exactly.
Love her.
My thought.
All right. So this is the question.
I am not a Seahawks fan, and I agree with her. Don't jinx. Don't stop.
You don't want to give Richard another ring?
Peanut butter goes with jelly. Sherman goes with Seattle. He doesn't get to go play somewhere else. I don't know why we're having this conversation.
My God, he played for the 49ers, and y'all didn't have this bad of a meltdown.
Oh, you missed that week.
He played for your division rivalry.
Oh, I know. I know.
You must have missed that week.
All right,
let's answer the question.
Let's answer the question. And so Katie wants to know thoughts on the taunting penalties. I think we're all going to agree on this one, but Kate, I'm going to let you go first on this one. There was a collage, a video compilation put together of all the taunting. It was ridiculous. I'm gonna let you have your opinion first, then I'll talk about it too.
All right.
Go ahead.
So there was a period in time where I wasn't sure what pass interference was in the NFL, and then there was a period of time where I wasn't sure what a catch was in the NFL. And right now, I'm not sure what taunting is, because there was some taunting calls this weekend that a guy basically dropped a ball in front of the opponent and refs are throwing flags. And I'm like, I don't understand what this is. And I'm confused about the little tiny ticky-tack things. Now, we've all seen the huge taunting things where they do the dance and they're in the face. But that wasn't the majority of what I saw this weekend. And I just thought I don't know why they're doing it, but I thought it was ridiculous and there were a couple that affected the outcome of games that should not have been called. We could probably do a whole show on penalties in the Kansas City and the Seattle game that were called that weren't actually penalties, or that weren't called and should have been called. So they have enough problems with those, but for taunting to be such a wide array of what those refs are calling taunting, they're kind of taking for me some of the fun out of the game, as I think the players can have a spontaneous reaction to a play that isn't necessarily taunting. They shouldn't get penalized for that.
And I agree with you. And Lisa, this is what I want to know from you. I agree. That's exactly it. There's a difference between getting up from a good play,
right,
and just being like, yes, and but you're still walking, than the standing over the top of someone. Oh, as we were talking about Richard Sherman, half the crap Richard Sherman used to pull, which I love, but I knew was totally taunting, right? And so I think there's a difference. Is it the officials aren't understanding it, or has the NFL gone to that extreme?
I think it's the same thing. You, like Kate said, now you've added on another thing that's going to affect. It's bad enough we got the roughing the passer, which they still can't get right. It seems like that, like you said, the catch, the pass interference. Now let's just give them something else to mess up or boggle. And every week they go into their meetings and have their films of what is taunting, what is not. What kills me is it's an automatic first down. Talk about
15 yards.
You talk about a momentum killer. You know, of if you're on offense and you catch that pass and you got that first down and you're excited and you turn to the players. You know, how many times I love wide receiver cornerback scuffles and matches and going at it. They're totally taking that out. You know, and a lot of times they respect the hell out of each other and they love it themselves. So after the game, you see them go over and shake each other and hug each other. It's like, that was a hell of a battle. Good job. Because they're jawing at each other. They're, you know, they've totally taken that out. And if you're moving, then all of a sudden you catch that one play that puts you in field goal range to win the game. And you're like, hell yeah, into the guy's face. How about that? And all comes the flag. It's wrong. And they gotta do something about it, because there was a hell of a lot of people that were pissed off about it, because it's
there
not
was
right.
a lot.
You got to stop it, or make it some other ridiculous, you know, on a kick.
Like
I don't
5
know.
yard.
You got to
There
change
needs to be two categories. So like when you bump into a kicker, right? There's the 5 yard one because you made incidental contact, and then the 15 flagrant big one when you knock him over and sweep the leg or whatever. There needs to be a clear taunting that gets you a first down and 15 yards, but then there needs to be like an unsportsmanlike conduct 5 yards, some kind of smaller deal for the things like we're talking about.
Yeah, but they tried that with the face mask. Remember, they tried the face mask where it was like, you know, it was incidental face mask, and they just could never get that right.
It gets too complicated.
So just trash the rules.
Well, that's still confusing, because apparently if you're a running back, you can put your hand right up in somebody's face, and it depends on who you are, and you can put your hand all over that face mask.
I mean, I love the unsportsman conduct. Just keep that one. That one will. Yeah, that one's fine. Right. If you feel that was unsportsman, then throw the flag. But the taunting one, it's ridiculous, and fans hate it. The players hate it.
They do.
It's dumb.
Just like Robin just said, a lot of the fans really agree that it's a lousy rule, and it is. The fans don't like it on either side, because they know that if they have a player that has a tendency to run their mouth, they're gonna get nailed, and whether it goes for them or against them, they're just not gonna like it. I won't be surprised if that gets called back. And I realize now, I want to say this. I realize the NFL is trying to make a focus on mental health. They're trying to make it, a cleaner game and not quite so brutal to the mind, and which is funny because they smash each other's heads in. But to the mind, emotionally, mental health wise, and physically, they're doing these things. But this one is illogical. These are warriors. We've said that a million times. They are, they're gladiators, and they're pumped up, on all these, ready to go, ready to win. And they make that play. And then in the montage, there were some that were obviously worse than others, but I think that they're going to have to pull that back, or it's just the backlash for it is just going to get worse. So,
well, and then, like I said, make it a first down. If they get the first down, then just 5 yards, don't make it so. And that's what's going to gain the attention, because, like you said, it's going to affect outcomes of games. And like I said, they're already under enough scrutiny because of the other calls they're making. You're just making their jobs a whole lot harder.
Because the punishment doesn't always fit the crime, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
For some of the minor ones, that's way too harsh for some of these.
It's true. All right, ladies. This is just going to happen. The further we get into the season, we're a 30-minute show. We're at 48 minutes, and that's what always happens when we do this. We just get excited, we get passionate, and we want.
Well, we get people in here talking to us too, and I want to talk to everybody.
I know, I do too. So,
except John,
right.
I don't want to talk to John anymore.
Oh, yeah. You two can go duke that out on Twitter, whatever. So, all right, everyone. Well, we thank you guys for joining us. We really, truly appreciate it. And we love everyone who interacts with us because this is how we know what people are thinking. This is what we know, that they're passionate about. The taunting was a great idea. I'm glad Katie brought it up because I hadn't had it on the run sheet and we probably should have talked about it. So that's wonderful. We will be back again next Tuesday, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on YouTube. But I'm going to do my best to keep them under control and keep it at 30 minutes. I swear. I promise. I'm going to try very hard.
Won't happen, but we'll try.
We will see you all next week. Bye-bye.